Y'all need to be aware that this is happening, it's real, and it's not uncommon, unfortunately. If something feels off, it most likely is. You can easily fall down the rabbit hole and never come back. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel, Skylife, where I explore wellness, spirituality, and alternative lifestyle. If you're new here, hello, it's great to have you here. And if you are a returning subscriber, it's so good to see you. It's been a minute since I've done one of these chit chats with y'all where I kind of just talk to you in a really intimate way. And I'm really excited to do this video on this topic because this is so incredibly important and critical when you are on the spiritual path, to be aware of the dangers of this world and this realm. This is a space I've been exploring for many years, and I've seen some okay? And I want to warn you all of what to look out for. When you first begin on the spiritual path, it's like this beautiful new world to discover. And there's so much to learn, and there's so many different people to learn from. And it's so wonderful and exciting. But if you are not careful, you can easily fall down the rabbit hole and never come back. And we don't want that. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing the top 5 dangers that I see on the spiritual path and how to avoid them. But before we get into that, I want to share a little bit more about my journey in this world, and then we will kind of dig in. I've been exploring the world of spirituality for about 15 years now. I found yoga when I was 15, and it completely changed my life. It allowed me to start seeing the world completely differently. It started opening me up to this spiritual realm that was very real and very exciting. And I don't know who I would be without my yoga practice. Now, fast forward to nearly 15 years later, I've been on this epic, wild roller coaster ride of exploring this realm, and it has led to so much personal growth and transformation and adventure. But there is a very dark side to the spiritual realm. There's so many things that I've witnessed over the years that have definitely disillusioned me in a way. But on this YouTube channel, you often see that I'm focusing on the positive aspects. I am generally an optimist, and it's always my intention to make videos that are inspiring and empowering. And so that's what I mainly focus on. But I felt like it was so important to make this video specifically because I feel I have a responsibility to actually talk about some of the real that maybe people aren't talking about. I really want to define the word spirituality, because now it's a term that is so overused and thrown around constantly, and it's like, what does this word even mean? To be honest, I'm kind of sick of the word, spirituality. I'm so sick of it. By no means am I saying there isn't so much beauty and transformation and healing and benefit available to this path. It's completely changed my life. So I have to say that up front, but I just want to make sure that everyone is aware of some of the pitfalls, some of the real dangers that are out there. The word spirituality originates from the Latin word spiritualis, meaning of breath, spirit. And spirituality was once closely linked to religion, but now it's grown to encompass so much more, including personal growth, journeys of self-realization, and a grander connection with the universe. And nowadays, spirituality in a cultural context often includes concepts like metaphysics, holistic living, and a quest for enlightenment. You know, the new agey stuff like sage and crystals and yoga and meditation and breath work and all the things that are running rampant in LA and are so much a part of the culture here. And don't get me wrong, I love all these things. You know, I'm your average spiritual basic bitch and proud of it. I've also just witnessed some gnarly stuff in this world, and I haven't talked about a lot of those things on my channel, because again, I want to keep things here like very positive and empowering. But yeah, I guess it's time for me to open up a little bit. There's obviously a lot to this topic, and we could probably talk for hours about it, but I've tried to boil this down to the top 5 main dangers of the spiritual path. The first is such an OG danger, and that is giving away your power to a teacher or a guru. So this is basically when you are pedestaling either a guru or a spiritual teacher as having all the answers and kind of bowing down to them. This is such a classic issue, and it has happened so many times, countless times throughout history, especially in the 60s and 70s when you kind of study what was going on with the guru movement and all of these crazy cults that formed that literally just led to extreme exploitation and abuse from these leaders. You will see that most of these spiritual teachers and gurus are full of shit. Don't get me wrong, there are incredible spiritual guides and teachers out there, and even gurus. I mean, they do exist. But in my experience, I've just seen this go wrong so many times. And I think at the end of the day, we are all human beings on this planet Earth, and I don't think there's anyone who's more godlike and more enlightened than anyone else. And I don't think there's anything wrong with learning from teachers. I've learned from some incredible teachers. And I also feel like I have seen behind the scenes and behind the curtain in some instances and have become disillusioned to certain teachers and gurus that I've come across. And often it's these people that are preying on those who are feeling lost and feeling a little bit vulnerable. And this could mean that, you're giving them large amounts of money to learn their secrets, and you think that they're going to give you what you're looking for, when in reality, you are the only one who can give you what you need and what you're looking for. Now with the internet and social media, there's just so many teachers out there who are saying all the right things and creating such a amazing brand, and like they really sound like they got it figured out and they're going to help you. But you have to really spend a lot of time with someone to actually know them. And a lot of these teachers are just humans at the end of the day. I've learned to not listen to what someone says, but to observe their actions. It's very easy to say a lot of things that sound good, but what's more important is to watch what people do. So if you have encountered a teacher that you're learning from, and say you start to learn more from them, you get kind of integrated into whatever they got going on, you're integrated into their community, and you start to witness blaming, shaming, gaslighting, or manipulation of some kind, or putting other people down, or like just straight up like nastiness in the way they communicate, that is a major red flag. And I would get the hell out. So this brings me to our next point, because following the teacher or the guru can so often lead to exploitation and abuse. There are countless stories of gurus or teachers taking advantage of their followers and their students, creating dangerous cults where fear and abuse are so present, and this abuse can come in many forms. It can come in emotional abuse, financial, or even sexual. And exploitation and abuse aren't just within cult situations. I've seen this happen with people who claim to be healers. And I had my own experience with this that is so hard for me to talk about, and is not something I have talked about or opened up about because it's just so uncomfortable. And I don't want to go into details, but it's probably important that I do share a little bit so you guys get an idea of what I'm talking about. I had an experience once with a healer who completely violated me in a healing session when I was in a very vulnerable, trance-like, altered state of consciousness. I don't want to get into the details. This happened many years ago, and at the time, I kind of just held it in, and I only told a couple people very close to me. But I'm bringing it up now in this context because this just grinds my gears and makes me so furious that this is such a problem in the spiritual community is these healers who are taking advantage of women. It's disgusting. And at the time, I was so confused by it because I was completely in an altered state when it happened and I didn't know what to do. And it felt so wrong and icky to me. And I kind of just held it in and I didn't talk about it. And I don't want to make it a thing. I want to talk about it now and bring this up because y'all need to be aware that this is happening, it's real, and it's not uncommon, unfortunately. I don't want this video to turn anyone away from their spiritual path. I really just want to support people on it. I just don't want anyone to fall victim to these types of things if you might be unaware that this is happening, and it's very possible when you're just so open and excited in the beginning or even at any point on your journey. The next danger that I'm going to discuss is spiritual bypassing. Spiritual bypassing is a term coined by psychologist John Wellwood in the 1980s, and it basically refers to the use of spiritual practices and beliefs to avoid dealing with painful feelings, unresolved wounds, and our fundamental emotional and psychological needs. Spiritual bypassing might look like toxic positivity or dismissing or brushing off real challenges in someone's life as being due to karma or like the lesson that they maybe needed to learn. And while I agree that there is absolutely a level to attracting a reality into our lives for our soul to go through a lesson in a journey, I also feel that the spiritual bypassing is a big danger because there is some pretty hardcore suffering happening on the planet. And I think in this community, those real and horrific things that are happening are sometimes like brushed off or dismissed. And I'm definitely guilty of this. Like, I'm not sitting here trying to pretend like I'm a perfect person. Like, I have definitely brushed things off in my own life and tried to like avoid things and just shower things with positivity. And I realized that it doesn't really work to do that. That can only work in the short term. But eventually you have to face it. You have to really face things head on. And whether it's in your own personal life or some of the suffering that's happening in your world or in the world, like, we are co-creating this experience, and bypassing certain situations is not actually going to support the evolution of how we can create a better world. So this is really critical to kind of like be aware of. Spiritual bypassing is also something that can be used as a tactic by these abusive cult leader type people to brainwash and manipulate. And if you are actually going through something challenging in your life, if you're struggling with mental health, it is so important to seek the support of a licensed professional and to actually get the support that you need. And sometimes I feel like people go to the spiritual realm for answers when they're struggling with something. And yes, it can be so helpful. I mean, it changed my life and brought me out of depression and anxiety. So I'm not discrediting that. It's just so important to know and be aware of who you are seeking help from and who you're getting support from. When I was going through depression in college, I saw a licensed psychotherapist consistently, like every week for a whole summer. And then I would see her on calls, and I still go and see her when I go home. It has been instrumental in my journey to have had that support. Now, the cool thing about the therapist that I went to is that she also was a very spiritual person, and she used energy therapy in her work with me. but she was also a licensed therapist. And on that note, I'm so excited to announce the sponsor of today's video, BetterHelp. BetterHelp is a platform that connects you with a licensed therapist who is trained to listen and give you helpful, unbiased advice. Starting therapy can be really challenging, and finding the right therapist can also be really hard. But BetterHelp can match you to one of over 30,000 therapists in their network, which gives you access to a wide range of expertise. If you do not like your therapist that you're matched with, you can switch at any time for no additional cost. And with BetterHelp, you can also do your therapy session either on the phone or a video call or even on messaging, whatever is most comfortable for you. To get started, you'll fill out a questionnaire to help assess your specific needs, and then you'll get matched with your therapist, in most cases within 48 hours or less. And then you'll be able to schedule your therapy session at a time that's convenient for you. BetterHelp is offering the Vibe Tribe 10% off of your first month using the link betterhelp.com/skylife. Clicking this link really supports the channel to continue and also supports you in your mental health. So go to the link in the video description, betterhelp.com/skylife, to claim your first month for 10% off. The next danger that I want to talk about is spiritual elitism and arrogance. This is when you somehow believe that you are superior or better than other people because you are spiritually awakened. It is an arrogance of feeling like, well, now I know the secrets of the universe, and I'm a light worker, and I'm love and light, and I'm awakened, and all these other NPCs of the world are not, or these other people in my life are not, and I am superior. This is literally just your damn ego. I have heard this so many times where people will be like, I can't have a relationship with like this family member or this friend from the past because they're not on the spiritual path and I am, and I have to set boundaries and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you get to set the boundaries you want in your life, yes. And I just feel like that is not a reason to cut off a relationship with someone that you love. Maybe a boundary in some instances is appropriate, but I feel like this is way too prominent in the spiritual world. Like, the advice of this is so prominent, and oftentimes it's happening also in these cult-like organizations that want you to cut ties with other people in your life, and that's extremely dangerous. And this kind of ties back to like giving your power away to those who you see as being more spiritually awakened or like on this pedestal. What also kind of ties into this topic is when people will go from program to program, retreat to retreat, ceremony to ceremony, and they're just hopping from thing to thing, learning a lot probably, and having these experiences, feeling like, wow, I'm so awakened, yet they're not actually integrating any of these teachings into tangible real life on planet Earth. It's so important to actually integrate the information that you are learning. When you go to a retreat, the whole point is that you get to take all of the lessons and all of the embodiment and then actually create tangible, real change in your life. This also happens with courses and programs. And I think the hard thing is that it takes hard work. Like, integrating this stuff into real life is really challenging. And sometimes people don't want to face those challenges, and it can be really tough to like face it and actually understand how to completely shift your life. But that's the whole point. And then having this kind of attitude of, wow, I've done all these ceremonies and all these retreats and programs, and wow, I'm so spiritual and I'm so awakened. But then like your real life is kind of like gone to I mean, that doesn't work. Our fifth and final danger of the spiritual realm, and that is the commercialization of spirituality. So this is where sacred practices, symbols, and objects then become packaged and sold at often a very high cost. We see this everywhere, from crystals and sage to expensive courses on manifestation. And I'm not saying that this is even bad or wrong, because I'm somebody that actually believes in capitalism, I guess. Like, I actually feel like there's a lot of benefit to exchanging value in terms of money, and that, making the best product and having market competition is important. So I'm not saying this is bad. I also feel like the trendiness of spirituality is kind of a net positive for the world, because more people are introduced to some of these concepts that they previously wouldn't be connecting with. And that was part of my journey, was because yoga has become commercialized. I found yoga, and it's led me on this massive journey of self-discovery and really like becoming a better person. Like, I'm such a better person because of my yoga practice, and I don't think that would have happened if yoga hadn't been commercialized in the Western world. So I'm not saying this is necessarily a bad thing. It's something to be aware of. I feel like the commercialization of spirituality is almost inevitable, and it can be a gateway to expanding consciousness and having consciousness more available and accessible to more people on the planet. And at the same time, I feel like there's so many things that are just so overpriced. But what is important to be aware of is when it gets into that territory of exploitation, when a guru or a teacher is way overcharging and probably under delivering. I also don't think there's anything wrong with a spiritual teacher being wealthy and making millions of dollars. There's tons of billionaires and millionaires in the world that are destroying the planet. And there are teachers out there who have really pure intentions, and they should be well paid and compensated for sharing their gifts. And just as much as there are teachers out there who are creating such powerful, transformative programs or retreats or offerings, there's a ton of scammy con artist behavior also happening. But I want to put the power back in your hands, because ultimately it is up to you as the consumer. It is up to you to decide who and what you give your time, money, and energy to. So developing your intuition, listening to your gut, these are critical skills for navigating not just the spiritual realm, but all realms. The most important thing that I want you to get from this video is to trust your own inner guidance system. Trust your gut, your discernment, and your intuition. If something feels off, it most likely is. You are your best guru, and you have the answers you are seeking already inside of you. It can be really supportive to seek the support of a guide or a teacher or even a coach. I'm someone who's personally benefited from one-on-one coaching very much, but never ever give your own power away to anyone outside of you. And a good teacher will always empower you with this. I know that was a lot. This is such a big topic. So if you want me to make more videos about this, then please comment, let me know. You can also head to our Discord, which is a completely free offering for our community to come together to talk about these things. So the link is in the video description to join the Vibe Tribe Discord. I think it would be really cool to do like a live Q&A event in there at some point, specifically on this topic. So head on over to the Discord and let me know if that's something that you would want to join. I truly hope that this video was supportive to you. I hope that it can be of service to you on your path. Thank you so much for watching, and that's it for this one. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Hear the sound of the bed. It's alright, it's okay.